Ty, you said in New York and Massachusetts, if they knew that they were going to have no fans, do you think they would continue to go?
Yeah, at least for the NFL.
Maybe, right? Because this number has been tossed out that the NFL's debt limit has been raised for each team another $150 million. So from $350 million in debt, it has jumped up to $500 million in debt per team, which they can use, I assume, as they please. That was something that was voted upon in a conference call yesterday with Roger Goodell, I guess. And I have a lot of questions. I'm like, okay, if they're going into $500 million in debt because they're thinking there's a chance of $1 billion losses or $1 billion worth of losses if they were to go without fans, is $150 million really enough for them? And I think we did the math the other day. It is. I don't think that would be enough for them, an extra $150 million. But who are they getting this debt from? Like, does the NFL have a bank? Like, is Roger Goodell running a bank that they're like, you know what? Everybody can get another $150 million per team. It's $500 million per, which I believe is $16 billion. So what bank are they getting this debt from, $16 billion? If it's their own banks and they're allowed to do business, does that bank have to keep that completely open with Roger Goodell so they know who's using what amount of money for debt? And also, how long has this been happening? Like, teams have just been using this debt model for a lot of, like, I don't think I knew about this, and we tried to read as many articles as possible about it. Nobody knew a damn thing. But if there's only a couple teams that don't have fans in their stands, if it's New York, Massachusetts, teams in that nature, Philadelphia, I think the rest of the NFL, because of how they operate as a team, as opposed to the Dallas Cowboys or their own operation, I would assume that debt is potentially to make up for those teams that won't be able to go fans, right? I would assume that is potential. I think that while, Dave Portnoy is winning the man cave thing, Roger Goodell is probably sitting in Zooms trying to figure out every case scenario, like how do we figure out everything? And here's what it's looking like. Here's this. Because the NFL, we all understand, is not going to be slowed down by this. I think if we can bet on something at this moment on Wednesday, May 13th, it's that the NFL is going to ford the river. Okay, that is what they're going to do. This is the Oregon Trail. They got the saddle in the back. They got their entire family walking alongside. And when they get an opportunity to either wait it out until the flood dies down or to ford the river, they are fording the river every single time. And I think that's good news for Americana, but it also obviously has its risks. So they have to weigh risk management, which is like, hey, pros and cons here. We got a lot of teams that'll be able to operate however they want. We got some teams that might have to have no audience. Let's go ahead and up the debt limit, which we could potentially transfer over to those teams who don't make any of the money while we all do it. And if the LA teams have to move into another state, where do they go there? Do they just hijack a college? Do they just say, hey, this is our team now? Like, what do they do? I don't know how it operates. I don't know how it's going to go, but I think that is something that the entire NFL is figuring out. And for the NCAA, they're going to have to see how unified they actually are. I think the Pac-12 already feels as if they're maybe like the ugly stepbrother of the whole thing. And I feel like there's going to become a chance where the rest of the world can show whether or not they're the ugly stepbrother, and they're going to have to make a decision there on whether or not they move on without the California teams, because it feels like the California state, and I hate this we have a lot of listeners and followers in California. We appreciate the hell of you. We hate that you're going through this, but it feels like they are going to be in a much different world than us going forward here in the next couple of weeks and then for months to come. It's like, how, if you're the SEC, Big 10, Big 12, how do you look at that and be like, okay, so our world is back, but there isn't. Do we sit back because of them? And none of them have really been relevant for a long time. What do we do here?